Hey everyone, Off the Rails Sports with Bert Beiswanger. I hope you had a great weekend. We're warming up here. We've talked about that. I think we're going to hit 30 degrees today. That's going to feel like spring. Love it. It's been super cold here. I know the groundhog saw a shadow today. Punxsutawney Phil. That's not very scientific. I don't believe in the whole see your shadow 6 more weeks of winter. Do you? We had 6 more weeks of winter on the front end this year, other than Christmas. So whatever. Hey, you know where excuse me, you know where it really felt like winter for a very rare time, and that's down in Tampa, Florida last night. Puck drop for the Stadium Series around 6:30 ish. Tampa Bay Lightning and Boston Bruins, and I was looking forward to watching this game, trying to figure out how they pull off an outdoor game in a warm climate like Tampa, St. Pete, but they didn't have to worry about that. They would have been fine. I mean, they did a lot of neat technological things with a tent, air conditioned tent, and all that to get the ice ready, but they didn't need it. I mean, well, they needed it until yesterday. They took it off sooner than planned because it was a high of 42, a low of 34. 35, whatever. And it's just weird watching a hockey game down in Florida, outdoor game. You're seeing steam coming off the players' heads and out of their mouth and all that stuff. So it looked the part, quite honestly, other than any kind of snow, and it felt the part, although comfortable. And I'm guessing Florida fans actually had a good time with that, because how often are they going to get an opportunity to get like a winter experience like that? And they got it. Watching their team. What a game, by the way. Goalie POW. The goalie's got in our fight. That's very rare. So get it, goalie POW. I borrowed that. That's off the Ian Patrick Show. One of the Danettes came up with that, so I'm not going to claim that, but I like it. Beyond that game was awesome. Bruins got up 5-1. The Lightning came back, tied it up in the third. A couple goals late in the second. Goal in the third. They won in a shootout. Awesome. Stadium Series always looks pretty good on TV. So we will enjoy a little more NHL hockey in the meantime, because it is Olympics week coming up starting Saturday. So I think NHL is going to shut down about after Thursday. So NHL players will be playing in the Olympics. Yeah, it's Olympics week. It's Super Bowl week. It's Waste Management PHX Open week. I've been there. I'd love to go again. Honestly, I watch that and hole number 16 closest to the pin, play a little game with that. With each group that comes in, there's a channel that just focuses on the stadium hole 16 on ESPN Plus. So we'll be doing that whole pregame. I don't need 5 hours of pregame coverage. Frankly, the Super Bowl is to me this year, and good stories. I mean, good stories with the Patriots. Where they've come from in one season, and then Sam Darnold, his second really good year in a row. Vikings, he had a great year last year and had a resurgence of his career. Didn't play well in the playoffs. Got knocked for that one. Was still very affordable. And the Seahawks went out and got him. And you know what? He's taken another step. It helps when you have talent. When you have a Jackson Smith and Jigba, and I've talked about this. Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, and Malik Neighbors, and Smith and Jigba, and others, and on and on. It makes the quarterback's world a lot easier. But we're looking forward to the Olympics. I'm looking forward to having the Olympics even during the Super Bowl. Whatever they're showing on, whether it's curling or whatever, I'm watching it because I can't just watch the Super Bowl anymore. I got to have something else. There's nothing else usually on. Golf's over by then. But, man, the Olympics is going to save us this year. So we'll get double-barrel action on both these games. And more on that later. But college basketball, IU, what a good week. Huh? We're looking at the Hoosiers and saying this is right as of right now. And by right now, I mean the beginning of last week, we were saying, this is not an NCAA tournament team. They don't have they're good, but they just didn't have any signature wins on their resume. That changed this week because they beat Purdue at home, and then they went and beat a really good and much improved UCLA team. That game, I didn't watch a lot of it, and I wish I had watched the whole thing. There's still a little bit of peacock effect for me. Like, I watch a lot of stuff, okay, so I'm not a diehard IU fan. So I don't really, I'll flip through the channels and I'll watch them, when they're on the mainstream channels. But when they're streaming on Peacock, I just forget. I've done that a couple times this year, not just with IU, but nonetheless, I turned it on. What a great game down the stretch. Awesome runs, back and forth, forcing overtime, forcing a second overtime. And then IU gets an inbounds play. They get hammered on the inbounds. Well, a lot of contact, but the player was getting ready to throw a shot up backwards, and they call the foul with 0.3 seconds. IU hits one of two free throws, wins the game. As a fan watching that game, that kind of it kind of stunk the way that ended. I would have liked to see a third overtime. And I honestly don't really like calling a foul, against a player who's making a play per se, but was he, come on, throwing it over his head. So that was kind of a bummer end to that game, to end like that. But nonetheless, really strong win by IU, and I like the team. I mean, they're cohesive. They don't have the depth, especially front court depth, but they're showing me what I thought they were going to be all along. Just get a little better, and they got some guys. They got a really nice group of players, and they're really well coached. So that's gonna allow them to be in the NCAA tournament. And look, this field anymore in college basketball. I mean, you have some elite teams. Last year, 4 1 seeds made the Final Four: Auburn, Florida, Duke, and Houston, and they were the clear-cut top fours. Tennessee was like right there and all that stuff, but Florida took care of all those teams in the SEC that were right on the cusp, beating them in the SEC tournament and all that. But nonetheless, where I'm getting at is you get past the teams like that are Arizona this year, and I don't know that there's a big difference between, an Indiana and the 10th team in the country. Clearly there's not, because they beat Purdue. And so I think that's where we're at in college basketball. I mean, you can look at IU and say, yeah, depth's a problem, front court's a problem, but you know what? You can look at any team and say that. Florida backcourt is what it is going to be this year. I'm hoping it would get better, but they are nothing like the backcourt they had last year. So perimeter shooting's a problem with them. So they have the best front court, I think, in the country, but the backcourt's so-so. But my point is, you could dissect any team and take holes in them. Speaking of Florida, not to talk a whole lot of Gators basketball, but I will say this: they had a really bad game last week at home against Auburn, and they did what I thought a Todd Golden coach team would do. Take it out on the next team. They beat South Carolina by almost 50, if not 50. Crazy. And then they play Alabama yesterday. Now, this has got a lot of interesting stories on it. So if you're not following this, we're at where I feel about college sports and rules and lack of rules. And, football's the worst because of the schedule that they have to deal with overlapping semesters. But I mean, man, it's not much better in basketball, and it's really interesting. The NCAA over the years has constantly get battered by fans and what have you on rules, and we're at the point now where we don't have any. And here's one last remaining one, and if this goes the wrong way, we're in trouble, folks, in college sports. All right, so Charles Bediako. Bediako played for Alabama and entered the NBA draft in 2023. Like a lot of players of his time, very bad advice. I think he had averaged like 6.5 points for Bama. So he enters the draft and, unsurprisingly, does not get drafted. And so then he ends up signing, minor league deals, G League deals with different teams, plays in and out of G League for different teams for 3 years. And he's still within his window, technically, for college. You get 5 years to do 4. And so he was trying to come back and play college basketball at Alabama. Of course, Nate Oates, the coach, thinks he thinks he should be eligible. Now, where this gets a little, he just came back three games ago, and so Alabama courts, unsurprisingly, said he could play. Did a temporary permanent injunctive relief that would allow him to play for the rest of the season, and put a restraining order on the charges, not charges against him, but just the whole rule that he can't play. Now, there's another court case coming up, and we're going to see what happens. And this is going to be very interesting. If the NCAA does not have any power anymore to say a guy can't come to college and then enter the draft, sign with an agent, sign contracts, and then comes back to college, we don't. I mean, I would already say, what are we doing? But this would be the next step. So we'll see. This game was interesting because Todd Golden was asked about it on his weekly show. Todd Golden, the head coach of the Florida Gators, and he said, "I don't care if he plays or not. We're still going to beat them." And then that got some steam, and guess what? Florida killed them. This Florida team without a backcourt, man, they are. You watch that game, by the way. I haven't heard a rim rattle so much in my life. Just not from missed shots, from like dunks and knocking in threes here and there, knocking in shots here and there. But a lot of just that game was played at the rim, high flying act. It was almost like you just watch that. It's like NBA versus Big Ten or something. People are going to hate me for that, but whatever. Now, a Big Ten fan texted me that. So they said, "My God, you watch this game after trying to watch like Purdue, Maryland. This is like NBA versus Big Ten." So he's right. All right, Gators. I don't know where they're going to go. I wouldn't be surprised if they made a run for the Final Four, and I wouldn't be surprised if they lost in the second round. And that's how I feel about a lot of teams. So good on IU. That's where we're getting at. Full circle here. And Purdue bounced back, and they beat a very bad Maryland team. I think they were favored by 10, and I was like, how are they not going to win by 10? I think they won by 30. All right. So we talked about the Hoosiers and college basketball in general. Keep an eye on this court case in Alabama, and it's going to be really interesting to see. And it'll change. Everything's already been changed in college basketball. Now I'd like to see some guardrails, some rules, and some adults in the room, and that don't include lawyers getting involved in this, unless they're lawyers for universities and things like that. They want to make sure contracts are upheld, and there's some stipulations in place. All right, Pacers. Man, there's a lot of talk about what to do with Bennedict Mathurin, and honestly, so this is the last year of his contract, his rookie deal. He is going to be a restricted free agent, so that means if someone makes him an offer, Pacers can match it. Now, there's a lot of craziness that goes on in the WNBA. There's a lot of craziness that goes on in the WNBA too, but the NBA, it only takes one team to make a crazy offer, and that could happen. And the Pacers have to match that, and they have to figure that in. But here's where I am. All right. They don't make the NBA Finals without Bennedict Mathurin, and the year before that, people forget he was leading the Pacers in scoring coming out of the All-Star break, and then hurt his shoulder. He was done for the season, and they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. And I'm watching that, and I'm like, boy, they could really use Bennedict Mathurin. And I know he's up and down, but the guy's got skills on that team that nobody else has. Yes, Aaron Nesmith plays the small forward, and Aaron Nesmith is not Bennedict Mathurin from a skill standpoint. And I get he's up and down. But, if you think, so when the horrible situation with Tyrese Halliburton happened, everyone said, well, he's going to come back fully healthy in 2 seasons, and then everyone's still under contract and blah, blah, blah. And I said from day one, you don't assume you just hit the reset button in 2 years and everyone's going to be here still and everyone's going to be playing the same way. Well, Miles Turner's gone since then, right? What if you don't bring Mathurin back next year? Now what? And by the way, the Pacers have already shown a penchant for injuries, derailing this season before it even started. Mathurin's been hurt as well. But I don't know why you would trade him now. I'm not sure what his trade value would be being a restricted free agent being a restricted free agent. And so why would you not just let it roll and then match the contract? That's what I would do. But I also know the Pacers need to make some kind of move to get another big man to replace Turner. And I don't know what's going to happen there. All right. Super Bowl week. When the game gets here, the game gets here. I'm not watching 7 days of pregame coverage, 6 games of pregame coverage. That's not how I get a leg up on Super Bowl weekend. I get a leg up on Super Bowl weekend watching everything I can with the Waste Management PHX Open, and also the Olympics once they start. We like that. All right. Hey, you have a great week. Get a leg up no matter what you're doing. Have a good day.